welcome to the MIGCA. In this video, we are going to show you how to enter the results of a tournament that you hosted. First thing you'll need to do is make sure that you are logged in and you are at the member home. You can then go down over to your teams. You will then work your way to your boys or girls. Once you do that, you will go over to your schedule. On your schedule, it will list the tournaments that you have created, as well as the tournaments that you have also entered that other coaches have entered. You have the ability to edit the tournaments that you have created and you have hosted. So when you go ahead and you want to enter the results, the first thing you'll need to do is make sure that all of the teams are entered in the team section. So you'll need to click on it. And in this tournament, we actually had 3 teams. So we had Big Rapids, St. John's, and we had Cadillac. So I will then enter in Cadillac and search for it. I see the Cadillac boys. I will select it. I will save it. And we had 3 teams in this tournament. When I do that, I will then need to go in and add the conditions and edit them. I can say that it was 65 degrees. We did have light wind. It was quite moderate with the precipitation, but we did not play preferred lies. So once we enter that, it's got the information in and saved. So to help better explain this, I have switched over to the girls season to give you the view of the tournaments that I have hosted, that I have the ability to add the teams, the conditions, update the results, as well as update the tournament information. And you can also see that there are tournaments that my girls have played in that I do not have the ability to edit it because I did not host. Now, in order to show you how to update the results, I'm going to go to a tournament here that I've already added the results for these teams, except for I do have one team that I have not added. And it is actually a team that didn't play in this, but just for the tutorial, we have added them. So if I go over here to Big Rapids and I take a look and I can view it, I can see that I already have scores over here for the players that played in this event. So I'm going to go ahead and go back. Before I go back, if I do need to edit any of the scores, I can always go in and edit it. And sometimes we need to do that because we accidentally type in the wrong score for the player. This is especially common if we have 2 players of the same last name and we accidentally enter the score for the sister or the other player that has the same last name. So just be very careful when entering the scores. Make sure that those scores are correct. So as I go over here to the Traverse City Central Girls Lady Trojans, I would go over here and I would go in and add their results. And as you can see here, for this team, I don't have any records. So what I need to do is I need to go up and add score. Now when I do this, this is going to show her entire roster. And I have all the kids that have played over here, or not played, but are on her roster. This is where it is very important that one of the first things you do as a coach at the beginning of the season is add all of your players. This is covered in another video on how to enter your roster, but you need to make sure that the teams that are in your tournament add your roster. If they do not add their roster in here, their names will not be available for you to go ahead and enter in their scores. So it is very, very important that all the teams at your tournament enter in their rosters. And usually, we do get some teams towards the end of the year have not added their players, so it becomes very difficult to be able to add their players. If you have to add a player from another roster, I suggest you send them an email and tell them to log into the MIGCA website and enter in their roster. Now, they do have to be an MIGCA member. If they are not an MIGCA member, then you're going to have to go in and add the players that are not in their roster. This is where I would want to make sure that when I add the player that I don't add a duplicate to any of the players that might already be in there. We want to make sure that we only have one entry to each of these. So, like I said, we'll cover that in a different video. I'm just going to put down that these players shot a certain score, and we will put them in. And I have added the 5 players. No, they didn't shoot a 56. We'll just go 88 here. So, and this person shot a 111. So once we have these scores in here, we can go down to the bottom. We can go down to the bottom and we can hit save. Once we hit save, we're going to notice that all of these scores are entered in, and this is where you would check to make sure that these scores were entered in correctly. So make sure that these scores are correct. If you need to edit them, you have the edit button over here. If you put a score for a wrong person and this 111 belongs to a different person, you would simply exit it out, go back, and you would add the score for the 111 to the correct player. Now, once you've got this, you can go back. You can then take a look, and we then have our scores here, or we have our teams here. All of these scores are now entered. If we had a 7th player or an 8th, a 9th, a 10th that did not contribute to a team score, you would come over here to the individual results. This is where you would add the score, and it would allow you, in this case, since you're adding individuals, to choose the team that the individual was on. You would then choose the player, and you would then enter in the scores. Since I don't have a 7th or 8th or 9th player that wasn't a part of a team, I will then hit cancel. I will then hit back, and these scores are in. When I go ahead and I close this out, I can then double check to make sure that these results are correct, so that when I click on view the results, and sometimes I need to make this box a little bit bigger, you can see here, so we can just make it a little bit bigger. We will then be able to see how each of these kids did. We will make sure that our first place player was our first place and that the rest of these scores are correct. We can check them out by individual. We can check them out by individual by team. So if I want to check out individually by team, so it will then populate them according to team. We can double check their place over here as well as their scores, or we can just do it over here as a team score. So we can see the top 4 scores on the team and what the team shot to make sure that this is correct. Now, since this team did not participate in my tournament, I am actually going to hit close. I am actually going to come back to the tournament where the teams are. I will actually go back to this team right here, and I will remove this team from the tournament because they did not play it. I will then double check with the results and make sure that that team was taken out, because for all state nominations, I want to make sure that those scores that I put in are correct. That is how you add a tournament. That is how you check the results to the tournament, and that is how you update the results.